Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to your day. Welcome to Leaning In with Anne today. We're walking and we're talking and we're working on gratitude because it's November. And we're going to try to figure out what actual gratitude is in the most healthy and positive way. So, a lot of us are taught guiltitude, not gratitude. And yesterday we talked a lot about that, about the fact that we are told we should say we're grateful. You know, we should, because we are somehow responsible for somebody else's feelings. Worth. That's what that's about. And there's a lot of times when we have a hard time feeling grateful because we don't like the strings that are attached. So if we're going to talk about strings today, we're going to talk about sacrifice and what healthy sacrifice looks like, what unhealthy sacrifice is, how that connects to God, how that connects to your parents. We established yesterday that we very often do not feel gratitude. We actually feel guilt and shame when somebody does something for us. So we're going to go through some of the verbiage that we use to express our guilt when somebody does something. So, okay, so somebody comes over and they've given you something and it's like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed. And the verbiage out of our mouth is, oh, you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to do that. It's an expression of guilt. You know that? Okay. Um, oh, thank you so much. I'll do something for you. Okay. When you feel that obligation and you're going to pay them back, it's actually an expression of guilt. Let's see, what's another expression of guilt? Help me out here, guys. How do we take things that are coming at us in love and support and bat them away? What are what is the words that we use to stop it? Oh, no. It's not that big of a deal. It's fine. So if you give something to someone and they actually express gratitude back, oh, it wasn't a big deal. It was fine. Expression of guilt because we're not receiving the love that is expressed. Why? Because we've been taught we're not deserving of the things that have been given to us because it inconvenienced somebody, it burdened somebody, it caused effort in your behalf. Oh, you shouldn't have. That is, I'm not worthy of your time, your effort, your love, your attention, this thing that will support my life. I am not worthy. We're taught, guys, we're taught not to feel worthy. This one comes from when you do something and somebody says, oh, you shouldn't have, when you have just done it. Now you feel, oh, shoot, I shouldn't have. Right? There's an exchange of unworthy. There's an exchange of guilt. There's awkwardness. So I did a workshop where I was a participant with my husband and have a coach who asked me a question a few months earlier. He said, what is the opposite of giving? He says, you're a giver and you give and you give and you give all over the place. You just give and you're generous with your time and with your thoughts and with your love. You've written the book on giving. So what's the opposite? My answer, so quick, right out of my mouth, taking. I am not willing to be a taker. Because of that, guys, I didn't know how to show gratitude. Why? Because when somebody gave me something, I felt like I was taking from them, taking time from them, taking energy from them, taking support from them. Like I wasn't worthy of what they were giving and offering to me. I was taking. And he stopped me and said, nope, let's try again. Let's try again. What is the opposite? Is there another opposite of giving? It took me a while before I was able to identify receiving. Receiving is the opposite. Now, if somebody has sacrificed for you, has done some things, and comes with the attitude of, I want you to see how much I've sacrificed for you, then it's really, really hard to receive, right? Because you didn't ask them to sacrifice. You ever had that? Where like they share with you all of the burden and the stress and the things that went into it. It's like, I don't want to receive this. Like, I don't want to receive your pain and your struggle. Sometimes people who do that, it's emotional immaturity, by the way. That is a big indication of emotional immaturity because what they're doing is doing things and wanting people to share with them that they are a good person. Oh, when they hear you shouldn't have done that, it fills them up. It might fill you up. You shouldn't have done that. I know, but I am really good at self sacrifice. I sacrifice myself for everyone else. And that is where I get my identity from. So I'm just going to beat myself to the ground and let everybody know that I love them more than I love me. How does that feel on the other end of receiving? Because for me, my dad did that a lot. I hate feeling like a burden. So I've got this overdeveloped sense of independence that prevents me from receiving because I just want to be a giver. I can do everything myself and I can give. Like that's the best, right? So he challenged me. Want you to actually experience what receiving feels like. Like what is that when you receive? I didn't know. I didn't receive. I always felt appropriate shame. I always felt unworthy. I felt um, obligated to send that back, to pay them back in some way, somehow. And then when I couldn't, more unworthiness would show up, especially if it was money. So I spent a good month, guys. I would sit in a chair with my hands turned up, hands on my knees, taking deep breaths, and envisioning this, everything coming towards me. I would just envision. So when I breathe in, I'd breathe in the air and I just like everything gathering for my benefit. I had to create that in my mind that it was okay. I wasn't causing harm. Why? Because taking causes lack. What about receiving? It's usually offered, right? It's freely offered, so I can receive it. Sometimes it's not freely offered, and I can receive it anyway. So my husband and I went to this workshop, and we had to do this exercise where we had to give compliments to each other. Oh my gosh, we don't speak compliments really. Neither one of us are good at receiving. We're extremely good at being independent and not worrying about what other people think or feel about us. And while that's a great place to be, it's also not. So he threw this ball to me. I was supposed to hold it in my hands while he spoke a compliment to me. And I was supposed to stand there with the ball in my hand and not even say thank you. I was supposed to hear what he said. I was supposed to receive what he said. And I felt like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. Receiving, pulling things into me that support me and nurture me. Thoughts, feelings, gifts. Oh my gosh. And then I was supposed to bring that ball to my chest, bring it into my being and say, thank you, finally. That is true. Oh my gosh. So incredibly hard to do. And then I couldn't even give him a compliment back. I had to give him the ball and I had to hold it. Well, he gave me another compliment, like all of this receiving energy coming at me. I didn't realize how much I had blocked the ability to receive. No wonder why I felt alone. No wonder why I felt like gratitude was really hard because all I felt was guilt. Like I didn't deserve and I was unworthy of the things that people offered to me. And I wouldn't be unworthy if I just gave it back, if I just paid them back somehow, because I didn't understand pure sacrifice. What we're being taught in this workshop is that an offering being freely given doesn't demand anything back. His face, when he spoke, and I just sat there and listened and received what he said, was a gift. Like my receiving was a gift to him. So then I had to do it. And I got so excited and I set this back and I watched his awkwardness in receiving things that I had wanted him to hear. Like I would say, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate you. Yeah, whatever. Right. He barely even acknowledged that I would say anything. And then both of us would do this, would feel taken advantage of a bit, like feeling completely invisible to each other. We were actually speaking to each other, but it's like an amplifier, a receiver, and a radio. It was turned off. We were turned off. So when I gave it to him, my anticipation and joy of watching him receive it was just a brand new, beautiful experience. And when he received it, I said, thank you, that is true. That something changed in him. And then I got to do it again. We did it 3 times, each to each other. And we definitely became closer, like we heard each other. So then the next day, we got up and we got to do it again. And we were all excited because we like this receiving thing. And we got out of the date that night and we were like a couple. It felt so great. And we had to do it again, except this time, the gentleman in charge of the workshop gave us a paddle. And my husband had the ball. And he was supposed to tell me something that he appreciated about me. And I was supposed to swat it away. So, he really gave an awesome compliment and I batted it, like I pushed it aside. I didn't want to, like I wanted that feeling of receiving again. And he's like I see this crestfallen thing. And then we had to do it again and again. And honestly, when it was my turn, by the time I got to 3, I didn't want to compliment him anymore. Like it was too painful not to have it received. How often, when somebody is offering to me in pure love something that they can help and support me with, and that isn't depleting them, like everything was depleting my dad, right? But everyone's not my dad. Everyone's not my parents. Everyone's not a narcissist, turns out. So good to receive. And it's such a gift when you do to someone else. Now, why does this play into gratitude versus guiltitude? You absolutely cannot feel actual gratitude unless you receive. And what you're receiving is not just their efforts, it is actual love. You're receiving that they saw you. You're receiving that you matter. Oh my gosh, that was the hardest thing for me. Why? Because I was taught based on the emotional neglect and manipulation. And guys, you don't have to be a child of a narcissist for you to understand that your parents did not know how to sit with you in emotion. I was taught guiltitude, receiving, and being able to just feel how loved you are in that moment. I will tell you this, it's so fun. The natural expression is gratitude. Like you just feel grateful for the moment. when you receive it as love, when you receive it as a burden, when you receive it as undeserving or unworthy, gratitude doesn't show up. Gratitude does. So I'd love you to be aware today of what you're receiving. I would also love for you to be aware, like we talked about yesterday, of what you're sacrificing. There is a point where we ourselves are unbalanced and we are seeking validation from others because we don't quite know how to feel loved in ourselves yet. And so we'll just prove and prove and prove and sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice to people who don't know how to receive. It's like all they're doing is smacking the ball away. And it's not even mean. Like they just don't acknowledge or don't say, you know what I mean? There is a point where you have to go, do I feel appreciated and loved? You don't do it for the appreciation and love, you do it for their support. But when it gets batted away so many times, is it really lifting you up? Is it really supportive of you? I had to pull away from trying to show my dad how much I loved him because he never received and he actually blames me for not loving him. And it wasn't me. It was a big eye-awakening moment when I realized it wasn't me. It wasn't that my efforts were not good enough. It was that his receiver was broken. And there's something that squashes your spirit when you are with someone who can't receive and who doesn't want to learn how, right? I'm going to challenge you all to not be that person. So sit with your hands up, take some deep breaths. The biggest thing is to feel loved. So I'm going to give you one last little thing so that we can change this around for our kids or your grandkids, depending on how old you are. And when we've got lots of people that are going to be offering things in the next little bit. So there's food, there's parties, there's attention, there's gifts, so many things. And I love the fact that Thanksgiving is before Christmas. Why? Because you've got to receive in order to give, right? Receiving. So when somebody does something for your child and they offer it to them, the way to help your child in this is to say, oh my goodness, you are so loved. Wow. Can you feel how important you are to them and how loved you are? Wow. That is really cool. How do you feel about that? And they'll beam up and I go, okay, so the thing that you're feeling right now is gratitude. Can you go say thank you? Because you're feeling really grateful. We did receive. Good job. If you can do that, you can teach gratitude instead of gratitude. It is all about feeling loved, actually bringing into your awareness, into your body, how loved you are. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a world where we give and our love is received, and our love is received, and we give love back out? So if you're in the game right now, how many days of gratitude until we get to Thanksgiving? Before you make your list, or as you're making that list, it's okay to make the list. Be aware of the things that are around you and just see if you can feel loved in every single thing. We SWAT all day long. We SWAT God's stuff. So right now, I'm thinking, what is my list, right? What can I list? I'm looking around at this park. I don't know how much you can see. It's just a beautiful little park. No one is around. It's just me. It's these trails that go around in circles. And it's right by my house. The trees, the grass, the sun, the air right now. I feel so loved and provided for by God for inspiring me to do walk and talks and providing a place for me to do that. I feel loved by Him. And what I'm hoping for you is that as I feel loved and supported when I do this, that as I give, what I give out is His love for you. Can you receive it? I really, really loved yesterday, and I really received. Don't stop doing this, Anne. Don't stop. This matters. It matters to me. I received how much love she was expressing. I received God's goodness in letting me fulfill one of my greatest desires, and that is to have people understand what love is and to be able to actually bring it into the world, how to bring it in, not just that you should. I don't like shoulds, I like hows. He's given me the ability to help, to teach that, and I feel so grateful that I get to stand in this. Now, last little thing, why does it matter? Well, because before I started this minutes ago, I was feeling very heavy. I don't feel heavy right now. Why? Because one of the things that gratitude does is it shows me how He provides. It reminds me that He's doing things. This park was built way before I ever needed it. What is going on in front of me? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. What is going on in front of me right now? He is preparing for me that I don't know. So, our job today, guys, is to receive and notice what you feel when you purely receive love that's being offered. Do not use the words. You shouldn't have said that. Oh no, you're cute too. Whatever the pushback out is, we're not going to do that today. All right, guys, march forward, receive compliments, and I will see you tomorrow for part 3 on gratitude versus guiltitude. Have a super great day.